Welcome to Credentialing Chronicles, where we spill the doctor's tea, honey, hotter than your morning coffee.
And we're spilling it across America, state by state and license by license.
Ooh, I'm Shannen, and honey, she is Nyleen. And we are just a couple of sassy credentialing pros with front row seats to all this crazy chaos.
Yes, from coast to coast, fraud scandals to hospital drama they hoped you'd never find.
Yeah, but we find it, girl. So grab your coffee, your compliance checklist, and what, Nyleen?
And let's get into it.
Yeah, oh yeah. Well, Nyleen and Shannen sitting there talking about you while you pull up a chair. They holding every...
And we're back for Credentialing Chronicles. Hey, Nyleen.
Hey, Shannen. I don't know. You don't look like you're in the state we're about to talk about.
No. I'm making my last leg upon the state of beautiful Washington. And then we are hightailing it over to Iowa, baby, because you know that's where we're going next for the live show.
Oh, yes. But today we're talking about some heat and spice. Where are we going today?
Well, you know, Florida is famous for beaches, especially retirees, and guess what? A whole lot of sunshine, which we do not have here today, Nyleen. But what are we going to talk about?
Well, we got to go with the crazy stories of Florida. Everybody always talks about Florida because, you know, it's always like the butt of the joke, I guess, in credentialing. But the stories, girl, are wild. There's fraud schemes, murder investigations, pill mills, licensing controversies and drama, and arrests. So all through all of it, you know, credentialing teams are out here doing the best that they can to just keep us safe.
Yes, you could say that again. And today, you know, we're the ones that are going to have to do it for them. We're going to have to spill the tea all over Florida, baby. I mean, we're talking the crimes, which, as you know, is Nyleen's favorite, the credentialing chaos, which is my favorite, and the regulatory systems that are trying to just keep up with so many providers and the patient population out there. It is growing at high speeds.
Oh, and trust me, some of these stories, girl, they sound like crime documentaries. And they all raise the same question. Shannen, what is that question?
Really, the real question is, how does someone like this, always that we ask, get through the system? Where are the cracks? And I think today we're really about to break it down. I mean, I feel like today our cases are just really about to break it down, don't you?
Yeah, absolutely. So before we even get started to my favorite section, the crime stories, we really need to talk about why Florida shows up in so many healthcare investigations and scandals and all of that. And it's because it really isn't random. Florida has long been considered one of the epicenters of really healthcare fraud in the United States. Actually, the U.S. Department of Justice Healthcare Fraud Unit says that Florida leads in Medicare fraud, home health care fraud, and DME scams. And the reality is, it's because, like you said, there's so many retirees. So what do you think? I mean, it's obvious, right? So do we really want to blame the state? I don't know. It just happens that a lot of retired people live there.
You ain't lying.
Right. So according to the Department of Justice National Healthcare Fraud Takedown reports, we've got millions and millions and millions and millions of dollars of different kinds of fraud.
Oh my God. Well, I just know from our own show, it seems like some of the cases in our season 1 that we were pulling, it seemed like a lot of them that you had came out of Florida, remember?
Right. Well, break it down. So why Florida? We talked about the demographics. So talk a little bit about what we found about the demographics in Florida.
Yeah, when we really did the background research out for this episode, we found out from the U.S. Census Bureau, you all, that nearly 21% of Florida residents are literally aged 65 or older. And one of the highest proportionates of this age group is in this state. And so when you're really looking at senior citizens, and if you're really a perpetrator out there that is looking to defraud people, I mean, this would, I guess, be a major target. You know, the second, the Second possibility, because we can't say we know anything for sure, but we think is provider migration. Doctors move to Florida constantly. And why wouldn't they? Honey, look at me out here in the gray, Nyleen, and I want some sunshine too.
Right. Exactly. Yes. And you figure if you have so much big population, the older population means the more business, right?
Exactly. And, according to the workforce data from the Florida Department of, Health, the state has more. Listen to this, Nyleen. More than 110,000 licensed physicians. So those are your MDs, y'all, and the DOs, okay? And over 40,000 registered nurse practitioners. Honey, that's a lot.
That's a lot.
Those two groups put on top of that tens of thousands of other licensed healthcare providers. And so those are your PAs, your physician, physical therapists, everybody else that's billing in the NPI world.
Wow. So then that means that our payer environment is going to also be affected because we're going to talk about Medicare Advantage plans. So yes, not only do we have just the straight Medicare people, but it creates a lot of complexities as far as the billing is involved because
on the head, Nyleen.
And so that's going to open up a lot of other problems, right? So when you combine massive healthcare spending, a rapid provider movement, and then fragmented payer oversight, you create, this opportunity.
If you're a fraudster.
Exactly. And, what happens is then they take advantage because we all know Medicare Advantage will cut the reimbursement from what you even get on Medicare. So not only are you making minimum, right? You're making even less than minimum because of this entire system. So unfortunately, it can lead to that other stuff.
We used to believe there is something that brings this thing to mind, right? I mean, you live in Florida, right? I know you kind of familiar with the Florida population, right? What city did you live in?
Well, I used to live in Naples, Florida, which is like all the way down southwest Florida.
Okay.
When I first moved there, the average age of the resident was 77.
No. Okay, look.
Yeah. So lots of heart, right? Lots of heart problems, lots of nursing homes, lots of busy hospitals. Our medical staff at one of the hospitals was over 1,400. So you're talking a lot of big hospitals, right?
So you've seen this firsthand, yeah.
Yes. And so crazy fun fact, also with Florida, is the malpractice limits are only $250, $750. And the reality is Florida law does not strictly require doctors to carry medical malpractice insurance.
You are kidding me.
No, right. And a lot of other states don't know this. So all they need to demonstrate is that they have a financial responsibility to pay the claim. So options include, for example, like they can have an escrow account with a line of credit, and so they only need to have a minimum coverage of $250, $750, and it's called going bare. And this is extremely popular out on the East Coast, Miami-Dade area of the state.
A lot of plastic surgeons, I bet.
A lot of stuff. And unfortunately, we do see that being allowed at surgery centers. Now, hospitals do have their bylaws to protect and require the carrying of medical malpractice insurance. Mm-hmm. Yes. But I can tell you, I had physicians that were grandfathered in before the new bylaws were changed that they were bare. Gynecologists, a lot of specialists. Really, yeah. So it's really important to note that these requirements are to demonstrate the financial responsibility. So medical malpractice, while high in Florida, like the limits are low, and the doctors are allowed to not even carry medical malpractice insurance, which is mind-boggling.
Beyond shocking to all of us on this call right now. On this call, I feel every time I do the phone with you, I feel like we're on a call. But no, on this episode, if you're out there, but again, like Nyleen said, the hospitals, they put their policies on top of everything. And so, it gets people up to the minimum limits. Okay. Well, one of the stories that will forever have changed me that we did, Nyleen, in our season 1. If you ain't listened to season 1, you guys have to listen to it. Because, we were working our tails off. I think we did about 50 episodes, maybe 25, 30. I don't know. But The pill mill. So when I was doing all of this research, I was looking the pill mill, they call it the pill mill era. And they call it, about the early 2000s to about the early 2010s when Florida was pumping all the pill mills out. And so, everybody was getting the prescriptions. The doctors were giving them out. What do you need? Oxy, what do you need? It's like candy. And so when we looked at that, pain clinics were popping up everywhere. Medicare, Medicaid was approving it. Patients were flying in from other states, you all, to get these pain medicines. And prescriptions were being written in enormous volumes. And that all, Florida was the number one on the list.
Well, according to the National Institute of Justice, Florida then reacted, but not until 2011, because in 2011 they passed a major legislation that really aimed at shutting down those pill mills, and the law banned certain pain clinics from being able to dispense opioids directly. And then what they did was they ended up adding stricter prescribing oversight.
Exactly. And, Florida, a lot of states launched, a monitoring program. A lot of states, even some states went into having their own CDS. That's why you hear the controlled drug, substance license for the different states that have that. New Jersey still has it. Some states just still have that. But Florida also, at this time in 2011, when Nyleen is talking about, they launched their prescription drug monitoring program. And that is known as E-FORSE. And I hope it helped a lot, right? Because according to the Florida Department of Health, the program tracks controlled substance dispensing to help reduce drug diversion and doctor shopping, which is something that, I guess people in this circumstance are known to do. I go to different doctors.
Exactly. And this is where credentialing really changed forever, because before the pill mill era, controlled substances prescribing was really just like a clinical issue, But then after the crackdown, now it became the credentialing risk issue, because it's like, oh, we're going to make sure that all of this is being done, right? And obviously with the growth of EHRs and e-prescribing, it came even more controlled as we see things progress.
Yes. And, in the CVO world, we had to start, we're verifying the state licenses. That's something that is familiar on all of our file summaries, even if the state doesn't have it, because, some of our other people do, the other states do have it. And when you're working out of multiple states, you have to follow the different states' protocols, no matter where you're at. Hospitals and medical staff, they suddenly had to ask themselves, should opioid prescription require specific privileging? How many of you all have asked that in your hospital? And that's something, it's just had gotten to that level, which is almost unbelievable. How do we monitor prescription behavior? Should providers be required to check the database, or the patient database to see, has this patient been over here? Has this patient been over here? Which I think is a good tool, right? I mean, what do you think?
Mm-hmm. Oh, absolutely. It's a huge help for us. We've caught several patients personally here in Georgia.
And it helps you what? I mean, spot patterns, right? It's patterns in the doctor, patterns in the patients.
Yeah, so according to a research published article in JAMA, the crackdown on pill mills and implementation of Florida's monitoring systems really was associated now with a significant reduction in the prescription opioid overdose deaths. So there's a direct correlation with oversight.
And saving lives, right?
Yes.
So the pill mill era was a disaster for Florida, let's be honest. And it also forced healthcare systems to take credentialing oversight seriously, you all. When it comes to controlled substances, it was just another area that wasn't really truly being monitored. But again, just like we talk about background checks, just like we talk about, monitoring the substance control DEAs and the privileges. I mean, it's just nothing as credentialing gatekeepers can fall through the cracks. You have to be up and making sure that you're looking at the totality of a provider and not just one specific area, right?
Great shout out, Shannon. Absolutely. It's all the little things. Girl, but let's get into some crime. Come on, let's get into some crime.
Okay, all right, enough stuff. Let's get into crime. You see, let me get comfortable out here.
All right, let's get into the first Florida case. And this one really shocked the medical community because it involved a respected physician, but then, of course, a homicide investigation. So this physician was a 72-year-old internal medicine doctor that was practicing in the Windermere and Oconee area. And according to reports from the Orange County Sheriff's Office, police were called to the couple's home around 1:30 a.m. on December 2nd, 2024. Inside, they found the wife, age 71, dead at home. And the only other person at the house was her husband, the doctor.
Okay, so tell me what happened? But investigators, they noticed something immediately, didn't they? Ooh, the doctor, y'all, he had cuts, scratches, bruises. He had them everywhere, on his arms, on his neck, on his face. He looked like he had just been clawed. If somebody was attacking me, I would claw him to death. Would you claw him to death?
Girl, you got the nails to do that. I don't have the nails to do that, but yes.
I'm clawing you up, honey. If you coming to attack me, I'm clawing you up, okay?
Well, according to the investigators, those injuries were consistent with what they called like defensive wounds from a struggle. Well, his explanation, girl, but his explanation was golden. Do you know what his explanation was? That the injuries came from playing with his dog.
Doing what? That sounds like a dog fight.
Well, the situation escalated, girl. A few days later, the police received a call reporting that the doctor was suicidal and confessing to the killing. And then the investigators said that he said, "I deserve to die because I killed her." Police,
okay.
Yes, his guilt. So then the police later found a voicemail confession, a suicide note.
No.
Mm-hmm.
Like a voicemail confession, like he had called somebody and was like, "Hey, y'all, I killed her."
Yeah. And then what happened was in August of last year, he ended up pleading no contest to second-degree murder.
Oh, so he did it.
Yes.
Oh,
he was sentenced to 12 years in prison.
And what happened to
the dog? Girl, that wasn't part of my report.
You didn't follow up on the dog, Nyleen. Comment below on this episode if you wanted Nyleen to follow up on the dog. Where did the dog go after this? Okay. So let's pause here. I know we care about the dog, but let's talk credentialing, right? We always have to get back. When a physician is arrested for murder, right? Who finds out about that first?
The news, the credentialing person in the office, the daily girl who looks at the arrest reports.
See, and that's my girl. I'm like, that's the girl I want on my team, okay? And really, but is it the hospital? Is it her? Is it the payers? Is it the medical board? We always say, Credentialing Chronicle always say, set a Google alert on your doctors. Anybody that is providing services to you or your family in your life, set a Google alert on them, right? I mean, it's one of the ways that as soon as it's public, you'll find out.
Right, but the answer really is to your question is nobody. No one immediately. It's a gossip in the hallway. So according to the Florida Department of Health disciplinary process, license actions typically require an investigation, a full administrative review before a formal emergency suspension orders are issued. So remember, anytime you get arrested, everything is still allegedly. Allegedly, you are innocent until proven guilty. So you could technically go with an active license to practice for a long time. So a doctor could have an active license immediately after an arrest, many times for a long time after an arrest. And that gap, that's where the credentialing risk lives. That's where we get into digging. And that's why background checks are so important. Those Google searches are so important as part of your credentialing process at your hospital or your facility or your surgery center.
Yeah, that's where credentialing risk lies, right? And I mean, that's the biggest thing, where everybody says patient-centered. But are we patient-centered when we're looking at, is this provider safe? This provider is still a human. And I know there's a big, controversy about the word provider, but I mean, I'm talking every provider, anybody that provides services to a patient. So that's my terminology for the provider. We need to make sure that we are looking up and credentialing them, because literally them touching the patient directly affects the patient's lives. And on the patient side, you guys have to understand that you have rights to ask questions. I mean, be funny and all, but hey, did you go, you okay? Did you commit a murder, doctor? Don't play with me, but you hope that the answer is no. I mean, right? Don't play, Sarah. I ain't been out murdering nobody. Okay. So let's talk. I have a case for you that I was looking up. I thought it was really good because it was about an ophthalmologist.
Oh, not an eye doctor. I don't think we've talked about an eye doctor.
We never talked about an eye doctor. So I said, I'm going to let Nyleen make a little s'mores while I tell her a story.
Okay. Tell me a story.
So it's like a thriller movie, honey, but it's real. This really happened. And this physician was 53 years old. He was the owner of an eye specialist center. I'll just say that, okay? And the victim, Nyleen, like you like to hear, the ex-wife.
Why it always gotta be the wife or the ex-wife or the girlfriend? I don't understand.
And listen to this. She was living her best life. She was a Spirit Airlines flight attendant. So, they don't even have a lot of work on Spirit. They be chilling. You know what I'm saying? They don't have to do 5 drink services. They're just making sure everybody
gets there alive.
So she was just living her good life. So anyway, according to the investigators from Palm Beach County Sheriff's Office, the incident occurred in July 2025, so just last year. Cindy, honey, was returning home from a flight. It was late at night, okay? Dark, she can't see nothing. Anyway, she parks her car outside her condo in, I believe it was like Lake Worth or like a Fort Worth. It was something like that, but it was in Florida anyway. And as she stepped outside of the car, girl, she was shot in the damn head, Nyleen.
Not in the head.
In the head, girl. Let's talk about it. Tell me, what you thinking?
Well, you said that, which is really has me thinking of what I should have in my car, which I love having a Tesla because I got this feature automatically. You told me she had a motion activated dash cam in her car. Because she had believed that somebody had been stalking her.
And after the gunshot, Nyleen, the dash cam recorded a shadowy figure approaching the vehicle. So, investigators, girl, they believe that the person was trying to literally retrieve the GPS tracking that was attached to the car.
Oh my goodness. I wouldn't even know where to find that in a car. Unless they put it there on purpose.
Unless they put it there, right? Girl, the detectives had discovered that the doctor, the ex-husband had allegedly purchased a GPS tracking device months earlier. And that the subscription to that device was canceled within hours after the murder, Nyleen.
Not he had a subscription. How are you going to be a doctor and be that done? And be that dumb? I don't understand.
And then he say, okay, ex-wife is killed. Boop, cancel that one. I don't want to pay for it a month longer than I needed to.
Lord, I can't, Shannen.
You're talking about dumb, right? But anyway, investigators also use several other things. The license plate reader data, cell phone tower data, neighborhood surveillance cameras, girl. All of this literally caught her ex-husband doing this to her. Can you believe it? And the motive, you really want to know why he did it?
Yeah, I want to know why he did it. What was the motive?
The couple's divorce had been finalized 2 months earlier.
Okay.
And he was ordered to pay her $285,000 in divorce settlement obligations.
Okay, that's not even that much money. I mean, it's a lot of money, but you can't even buy a house with that anymore. So that's what you gonna kill somebody over?
I mean, I just could not believe it. This poor wife. I mean, and she's just trying to live her best life. Okay. So anyway, he was arrested. He was charged, of course, with premeditated first-degree murder with a firearm. Because that was all premeditated. He done bought the GPS, y'all, got the subscription. We don't have to be detectives to really put that all together. and with a firearm. So, of course, because that was the gun. I didn't realize that there was different degrees of like the murder. I didn't realize like if you had first degree murdered her predicated with the
Oh, yes, girl.
strangling,
Oh, yeah.
then
There's
it would
all
be
different
without
levels
the
of murder. Don't
firearm.
get me started on the levels of murder, girl, because I know it all. First degree, second degree, negligent homicide. There's all kinds of things,
Yeah, and then with the firearm, because he had a firearm. But anyway, and he remains held without bond as the case is still moving through the court. So we will provide you, maybe we'll do an update, at the end of the year or something on all these cases. But honey, it was a lot. I had to tell you that.
But then again, so the credentialing question pops up. When a physician is arrested for a violent crime, how quickly do the hospitals react?
Yeah, and I mean, especially Nyleen, like an ophthalmologist. Who's credentialing an ophthalmologist? I mean, there are hospitals that are. I'm not saying that they're not. I'm just saying it's a lower proportion of people being, yes.
Right. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I mean, it was just kind of the craziest thing. Because hospitals and state medical licenses, they operate in two completely, separate systems, which we always talk about. And the gap can create real risk. I mean, we all know that.
I'm so sorry, but my mouth is I have chest pain.
Oh.
You know why?
Oh my goodness, why?
Because if you look up this doctor on the board website, he has an active, unrestricted license, no problem. I even got his personal email address.
The ophthalmologist?
Mm-hmm. Clear and active.
Clear and active. And he literally like shot his ex-wife, you guys, and we just discovered that
allegedly,
right now.
Though, remember, it's allegedly.
Well, I mean, it is allegedly, but he did pay for the GPS subscription and cancel it right after. But,
Allegedly. Innocent until proven guilty. So, guys, credentialing, please Google your docs. Active license.
Even your ophthalmologist, you're going to see an eye doctor. Oh, it's not my heart. I don't have to worry about it. Well, guess what? He killed his ex-wife last night. So, you got to check it out. Wow, we just discovered that right here live on this episode of Credentialing Chronicles.
Because, I did forget. I usually look up every doctor's license, and I was like, oh my goodness.
But this was my story, yeah.
That was your story, yeah, sorry. Well.
And did you use Baton to look it all up?
Yes, of course I use Baton. Baton gives me all the tea, everything I need, all in one shot. I know when, how, what the actions are, everything that I need to know, primary source verification.
Does he have a license in another state, or is it just Florida?
So I looked at Baton, which of course is one of my favorite verification tools. His current active license is only in Florida. He does have licenses that have expired, but they're not active anymore for some time, which is Georgia, New York, and Pennsylvania. So great things that we need to have an all-in-one platform like Baton to really help credentialing people.
Exactly.
But anyway, let's go to some financial crimes, because Florida doesn't just have dramatic cases with killing. It has big money fraud, which we did touch a little bit about it at the beginning. But the U.S. Department of Justice in 2025 National Healthcare Fraud Takedown charged 324 defendants across 50 federal districts involving $14.6 billion in fraud. And one of them is telemedicine and genetic tests. And I know that we had briefly kind of touched on it in other episodes, but you're talking billions and billions and billions of dollars. So how did Florida show up again?
Well, according to the Department of Justice, I mean, the Department of Justice seems like is involved in every case. That's what I'm going to say, okay? Their case summaries talk about how Susan Braddock, an owner of a telemedicine company in the Southern District of Florida, was charged in connection with a $26.4 million Medicare fraud scheme, y'all. The allegations involve telemedicine consultants that were literally billed but allegedly not medically necessary. And the physician orders for genetic testing sold to laboratories. So the scheme allegedly resulted, again, in $24.7 million, you guys, with approximately 9.5 million actually being paid. So remember, there were claims, 24.7 million in Medicare claims, but Medicare had actually paid $9.5 million. And again, that is money that could have went to people that are less fortunate, that need those dollars, and not scammers, you know? What's the lesson? I don't. We talk about the lesson. What is the here?
Well, that the fraud schemes don't always require a bad doctor. Sometimes they just run on like weak provider verification or order mills or questionable marketing companies or, executives pushing doctors to do stuff,
Why MSPs, let's just be honest, and credentialing teams have to ask questions. You guys have to ask questions. Is this a real medical practice? Does the specialty match the services that are being billed? Who is generating the patient referrals? I mean, Nyleen talks about patient referrals all the time and just all the conflicts that come up with that. How are orders actually being created, you all? Because fraud doesn't always, right, start in the exam room. I mean, sometimes it just really starts on the spreadsheet. I mean, there's no other way to say it.
So we've been talking here for some time. We've covered a little bit of everything. So let's just talk a little bit about the actual medical board before we close things out here a little bit. According to the Florida Department of Health, the state maintains public practitioner profiles and disciplinary records for licensed providers. I will tell you, Florida's license lookup system is not only concise, but it's all in one spot. You can look up nurses, doctors, podiatrists, all on one spot. I can have their education, even though that's not primary source for education, but it does allow us to look at it, kind of cross-reference. Like I told you, I could even find a doctor's private, email address on there. I don't know if I should tell you guys that, but all kinds of stuff. And according to the Florida Department of Health, the disciplinary process guide, the state can issue an emergency suspension order or can issue an emergency restriction order, all to go ahead and protect the public while an investigation continues. So they do have processes in place. Very easy to download a disciplinary action. It's right on your main screen. As soon as you look up a license, right on the bottom, it tells you disciplinary action, yes or no, controlling, being able to prescribe controlled substances, yes or no. Very clear, very concise, very nice.
Yeah, let's be honest, because investigations take time, right? And we don't want anybody being falsely accused, and according to Florida administrative law procedures, honey, because we get technical, we verify the verified here on Credentialing Chronicles. Disciplinary cases often involve formal investigations and administrative hearings before final action is ever taken, you guys. So, we're talking what, Nyleen? 6 months to 2-3 years? I mean, right?
Oh, it could be years. Mm-hmm.
But it just means that, a complaint might exist, you all, long before you ever see it in the public discipline, like area of the Florida system. And again, the fastest way you can find something is through Google Alerts, putting the Google Alerts on, because if a news station finds out that a doctor messed up, they want to report it everywhere. And that can really protect you.
For sure. And that's why credentialing teams really can't solely rely just on board actions or just on the NPDB, because you do need that ongoing monitoring. You need to have those self-disclosure requirements and make the doctor say, hey, did this happen? That's why we have those questions, right?
Exactly. Yes, 100%. And really, it's like, the ongoing monitoring of the different systems just has to happen. It's very important. I guess we could talk a little bit before we close just about scope of practice. Florida has expanded some of their scope of practice. According to Florida Bill 607, passed in 2020, certain nurse practitioners can actually practice independently in primary care settings. So that, yes, is really opening up the market to patients having more access. Because let's be honest, nurses do it. Nurses know how to do it. They do it great.
No, but that brings up a couple things before we get into the credentialing side of it, Shannon. Thank you for bringing this Nurse Practice Act up. Just because they can practice independently, they do have to have a minimum certain number of hours in order to apply for that aspect of the license. And just because they can does not mean that a payer has to pay them for practicing independent, which is one of the issues that we find with a lot of nurse practitioners. Is great. They have this unrestricted license. They can practice independently, blah, 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 blah. When they try to get insurance to pay or reimburse their claims, they find out, oh, the insurance still requires you to have a supervising physician.
And, like you said, it just creates a lot of credentialing questions, right? Hospitals have to say, are they going to have, providers coming in, because hospitals require supervision. And so are they going to take that away? Independent praxis, it doesn't eliminate oversight. And that's a big thing that I think sometimes, where we're like independent practice, which is great. And we're great that we're very happy that the state of Florida is really opening that up with this bill. But we really want to make sure that even though nurse practitioners can't have independent practice, that there is still oversight, and we're not actually eliminating that, because again, patient safety is what we're talking about at the end of the day.
Yes, that's right. So Shannen, bring it down, bring it together. Let's close it up with our PSA. What's our PSA for the day?
Yes. Well, at the end of the day, credentialing isn't paperwork, y'all. It's patient population, right? So I'll just start with our message for physicians. It's short. It's sweet. We love you. Be transparent. I mean, number one, right? Report arrests, report lawsuits, disciplinary actions. I always tell you, if something happens, to you that could affect, something with practice, go to your medical staff. It's professional. They can help you navigate everything, even into the medical boards, and really just disclosing the whole
but
process.
Please don't kill your spouse.
No, please don't kill your spouse. Don't get upset. Even if you get a divorce, just let her move on. Be happy. Just be a happy person. Or we're going to be talking about you on Credentialing Chronicles, okay?
Oh my goodness. All right. So into our MSPs that we love so much. You really are the gatekeepers of our patient safety. Your work protects our hospitals, our providers, our patients, our physicians, our nurse practitioners, our PAs, our CRNAs, all of it. And so we want to know you are seen, you are heard. We are trying to bring awareness to what you do and why you do what you do. So keep digging, and keep bringing it to the forefront, because you matter.
Listen to your gut. Always. I will always advocate your gut over everything else. Message for patients. Let's just be honest. I'm going to always say it: before choosing a provider, check your state medical board website. Whether you're choosing an eye doctor, whether you're choosing a cardiologist, whatever you're looking, look for disciplinary actions. Look on Google. Don't do a one-page Google search. Do a two-page Google search. Ask questions. Transparency protects everyone. And that's what we're just looking for in this system. What do you think, Nyleen? Tell me.
Florida may be famous for its beaches, hot women, and sassiness. But behind the scenes, we have amazing credentialing teams that are dealing with some of the most complex cases in healthcare with a lot of doctors.
And every single time, I want you all to know that the difference between chaos in a hospital and safety in a hospital is the person reviewing the file. So that's the biggest thing.
Yes, because credentialing isn't just paperwork, it's protection.
100%. Until next time, y'all, thank you so much for supporting Credentialing Chronicles. Please like, share, follow.
Listen, watch, subscribe.
That was a whole nation's worth of tea, girl.
Ooh, and we are just getting started. More states, more scandals, and definitely more receipts.
And if you love the tea we're spilling, you gotta like, you gotta comment, follow us, share, do everything. Where can they do all that at, Nyleen?
They can follow us on LinkedIn, Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, on all the things. And share it, because the tea is going coast to coast.
Ooh, I love it. See you next time on Credentialing Chronicles. Remember, you gotta stay credentialed, but not what?
Not canceled.